Alright, I'm feeling better. I do apologize if it seemed like I was in kind of a bad or different mood in my past couple videos. I've had something of a rough week, it's just some personal shit going on, but I'm feeling better now. I'm alright. So now let's talk about the third episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. With spoilers, I'm gonna talk about everything that happened in this episode, or at least everything that intrigued me, and there was a lot. So that is a spoiler warning. If you have not watched the third episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier titled Power Broker, best to clear out now. Unless you don't care, in which case, hey, stick around. So skipping to the important part, which is where Sam and Bucky go to talk to Zemo in prison, I'll start off by saying that it's good to know that those trigger words no longer work, cause yeah, I wasn't sure if they would or wouldn't. So it's the first thing that Zemo even says when Bucky confronts him. The first thing you hear is those Russian words, you see the subtitles, and Bucky's like, yeah, those don't work anymore. I was like, alright, okay, good. And so Zemo's like, alright, you're assuming Hydra had something to do with this, but they didn't. I might have a clue as to who's behind this new super soldier serum. And so Bucky decides that they need Zemo's help. So he breaks him out of his prison, which this is actually kind of funny, because Bucky's breaking it down to Sam how he's going to break Zemo out of prison. And while he's explaining it, you see it happening. It's kind of like a montage. Did anyone else think that this felt like a scene right out of a Guy Ritchie movie? Because, you know, Guy Ritchie always does this in his movies where someone is explaining how they're going to execute a plan. And while they explain it, it cuts to the plan being executed. It goes back and forth. That's like Guy Ritchie 101. I don't know, that's just what this scene made me think. I also like their conversation on the plane. You find out that that book that the Winter Soldier has with all the names, that's the same book that Steve Rogers had that you saw in Captain America the Winter Soldier. And Sam's like, oh yeah, I told Steve about Trouble Man. He wrote it in that book. Bucky, have you listened to it? What do you think about it? And Bucky's like, well, it's alright. And then even Zemo's like, dude, that album's a masterpiece. What are you talking about? Just the fact that Zemo chimed in there, I thought that was hilarious. I did laugh out loud at that. I thought it was pretty funny. Zemo in this episode is actually pretty great. I mean, yeah, Daniel Brühl is a great actor. We all know this. But I feel like Zemo has more character moments in this one episode of Falcon and Winter Soldier than he did in the entirety of Captain America Civil War. I mean, sure, in Civil War, we get his backstory and some emotional moments with him. But here, we get to see what Zemo is like as a person, you know? I thought it was cool. So to find out about this new super soldier serum, they go to a place called Madripoor, which is a fictional place. It's from the comics. Here, it's kind of a city that's a safe haven for criminals, kind of like Mos Eisley. That's what it reminded me of. And so Sam, Bucky, and Zemo, they're undercover. Bucky has to pretend to be the Winter Soldier again, which I was like, I don't know. I mean, Zemo being undercover with Bucky pretending to be the Winter Soldier, that could be dangerous. Like, Zemo pretends to be in control of the Winter Soldier. Zemo's being real slick in this episode. I like it. And I will say the music in this episode is really good because it brought back a couple of particular themes. Like when Winter Soldier's throwing down in that bar, that music is right out of Captain America the Winter Soldier. And even when Bucky goes to confront Zemo in prison, you hear that Zemo theme from Civil War. The very first piece of music you hear in that movie, yeah, that Zemo theme. You hear it again in this episode, and it was cool. That's actually a pretty important thing in this show, I think. The music, because it really does make it feel like a continuation from those movies. I love that. It's great. So while they're in this club, they're talking to this woman, Selby, who's like, all right, I know the doctor who's making this serum. His name is Wilfred Nagel, but then Sam's cover is blown because his phone was on. And yeah, I was like, why was his phone on him? That's not smart. Come on, Sam, I thought you were smarter than this. You were an Avenger. You're in the US Air Force. You're supposed to be a strategist. Why was your phone on you? Or at the very least, why was it on? Not smart thinking at all. But then Selby is shot dead by a mystery shooter, and so Sam, Bucky, and Zemo, they get out of there alive. I mean, they're being chased by guys, but then you see this mystery shooter shooting those guys. You see the mystery shooter briefly in the windows, but just from there, I was like, okay, I know who this is. I mean, you don't get a really good look at her through those windows, but I saw enough where I was like, yeah, I know exactly who that is. Yep, it's Sharon Carter. Sharon Carter also returns in this episode. Still looking hot as hell. Seriously, man, I mean, when she was wearing that tight black shirt, I was like, yeah, that works. That works for me. But anyway, she explains what she's been up to since the events of Captain America Civil War, which we remember she helped out Captain America by stealing his shield back for him and Falcon's wings. That's why Steve said they're gonna come for her too now. So since she broke American law by helping out Steve, she's been on the run ever since, off the grid, living here in Madripoor. Yeah, none of the Avengers bothered to help her out. Really? That kind of sucks. And yeah, she's mad at Sam, rightfully so. She was like, dude, what gives? None of your Avenger friends helped me out. So since Civil War, she's been living like a criminal in Madripoor. Not a bad life though, because she has a pretty nice place. So there is that. But you know, she does miss her family, her home back in the US. So she makes a deal with Sam. She helps them out on their mission, and then Sam clears her name. Pretty good deal. All right. Seems good. I hope Sharon gets her name cleared by the end of the show, because, I don't know, it's easy for me to feel bad for her, even if it seems like she might have another agenda. I don't know what that was all about. So they go to see this Dr. Nagel, who's in a secret lab, and then he tells his story of how he made this new super soldier serum that actually works. He was recruited by Hydra back in the day to do it, and then when Hydra fell, in Captain America the Winter Soldier, he was recruited by the CIA, because they had some samples of a super soldier's blood And I guess that was more than enough for Nagel to work with. But then, before he could finish his work, Thanos snapped him to dust. So now, after the events of Avengers Endgame, he's back, and now he's been hired by the Power Broker to finish the job. Ah, okay, so this Power Broker seems like the true villain of this entire story now. I'll get to that. So yeah, now this doctor is working for the Power Broker, making more super soldier serum, but then, bam! Zemo just kills him. I actually see that as a good thing, because now he can't make any more. I imagine the Power Broker's gonna be pretty pissed about that. Then we have this pretty cool action scene, because now they're all being chased by these bounty hunters because of Shelby's death. And you see that Sharon Carter can really throw down. She is really holding her own against these assassins. Taking one guy and using him as a human shield, the other guy's like, bam, 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 bam! Oh shit, I just killed my own guy. Oops. I always love it when people do that. Also, I gotta say, I love seeing Zemo in his full Zemo getup with not just the mask, but the trench coat. I was like, yeah, that is Baron Zemo right there. That is more Baron Zemo than we ever saw him before. And it was really cool. And you get the feeling during this mission that Zemo has his own agenda, Sharon Carter has her own agenda. Everyone seems to have their own agendas, and it seems like Sam and Bucky's agenda is the only right way to go here. Like, they're the only ones trying to do what's right. Even John Walker and Battlestar Galactica, who are not in this episode that much, which I was totally fine with, because fuck those guys. They find out that Zemo was broken out of his prison, and they're like, oh shit, Sam and Bucky were involved. We're gonna go after them now, I guess. I guess we'll deal with them later. We'll get the shield back from them then, I'm assuming. So after the whole throwdown in Madripoor, Sharon Carter says that she has some other stuff to deal with, so she leaves the group for now, and that's when she gets in the car with that other woman. She's like, we might have a couple problems. I was like, okay, what's going on there? We'll see her again later in the show. I'm positive about that, because that has to go somewhere. Would I be wrong to be concerned here? But anyway, Sam, Bucky, and Zemo, they go to Riga, the capital of Latvia, to go after the Flag Smashers now. And this is really cool. This is the end of the episode. Bucky's like, all right, I'm gonna go for a walk. I'll catch up with you guys in a bit. He tracks down these little sphere bead things that look like the top of a gear shift from an old car. As it turns out, those are kimono beads, because he meets an old face, Io. Now, Io is one of the Dora Milaje, one of those Wakandan warriors, which you can tell from that music that cues up there, that toot toot toot. I was like, oh shit, Wakanda's coming into play here. This is awesome. Yeah, can't wait to see where that goes. But Io here, actually, I recognized her because she was in some previous MCU titles. We first saw her in Captain America Civil War. She was that one chick who talked to Black Widow. She was like, move or you will be moved. And even right there in that one line of dialogue she had, I was like, okay, she's probably a badass. And then we saw her in Black Panther as one of the Dora Milaje. So alright, we now have a badass Wakandan warrior chick in The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I didn't see that coming at all. I didn't. It was a complete surprise to me. So yeah, now I'm looking forward to seeing what part she's gonna play in this show. Pretty awesome. So in the end, this third episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier was my favorite episode yet. It wasn't slow, I never got bored, and nothing in the episode triggered me and made me really mad. Just solid character moments, some solid espionage drama, great action, and it left me with really one big question. Who is the Power Broker? This mystery person we have never seen. Cause yeah, it does sound like he is the one behind all this now. He's the one who ordered the super soldier serum, which I guess the Flag Smashers stole from him, so that's why he's like, I'm gonna come after you guys and kill you. So I guess we'll see the Power Broker later in the show. Maybe he'll be played by an actor we know. I made a rhyme. There you go. I just hope I'm not theorizing too much though, cause, you know. And we all know how that went. In any case, looking forward to seeing what happens next. So, episode 3 of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, titled Power Broker. Have you watched it yet? What do you think about it? Do you have any theories about the Power Broker? And who did you like better in this episode, Zemo or Sharon Carter? Whatever you think, go ahead and leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe.